The views expressed on the Warren and Bradley Show are not necessarily those held by the hosts, Warren and Bradley, nor those of the proprietors of the website, warrenandbradley.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Let's make some magic.
It is magic time. Hello, and welcome once again to the Warren and Bradley Show. I am one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
It's Mother's Day on the Warren and Bradley Show. It's not when you're hearing this Warren and Bradley Show, but we're recording on Sunday, the 12th, which is Mother's Day. Warren, you were late for recording today.
Yes, I was like 13 minutes late.
Yes, you were. What were you doing? You were out with your mother?
I was at my mother's house, and we were just sitting around enjoying Mother's Day together.
You don't take your mom out for Mother's Day?
That's not what she wanted to do.
Really?
It was weird. She's like, come over to the house, and she made us breakfast, and we ate it.
She made you breakfast?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's what she wanted to do.
Well, that's a good Mother's Day, I guess.
Yeah.
We took my mom out for brunch. No, it was nice. I had French toast, and it was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Anytime I order pancakes or French toast or waffles or something, it sounds good, but then when I eat it, I'm just, ugh.
Yeah, as of a couple years ago, I finally got to the point where it's like, I'm done with that stuff. I haven't ordered that stuff for years, because it is like... I don't know. I don't want that for breakfast.
It's a gut bomb. And it's
like eating a bunch of donuts.
Yeah, it was covered in powdered sugar and then the syrup and stuff. I was just,
it's too much, and it makes you feel like groggy afterwards.
I like the breakfast. I like the bacon and eggs and toast and stuff like that, but I don't normally actually eat that for breakfast because I can't have a big meal at the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
I actually bought some bacon and eggs and some bread to make toast, and I made myself breakfast yesterday morning, and it was really pleasant. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, yeah. I don't always do that, and sometimes it's very relaxing. Just make up your little bacon, make your eggs, and your toast. Oh, yeah, it's lovely.
I had the thing, though, when we were at the brunch, the waitress that was serving us gave me the, oh, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, of recognition. And, she was cute and everything, so I would think if I did know her, I would remember who she was.
Yeah.
But no clue whatsoever who she was. Just absolutely none. She looked vaguely familiar. But she gave me, it wasn't just like, we've met once or twice. I don't know. And this has been happening to me a lot lately. And I don't know if it's a result of me not paying any attention to people or really just losing my memory completely. Or maybe
it could be a combination of both. Or else maybe people are mistaking you for someone else. That's another possibility.
I don't think so. I don't think very many people look like me, do they?
I don't know.
Not really.
I can't think of any.
And not that I could think of.
Because I know I have that guy that walks around town for years.
You do have a Warren.
Apparently looks just like me that everyone talks to, and the guy's confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, who I've never seen. So I don't know, maybe there's a Brad walking around.
Well, but I had another guy last night, too, who did the, like, hey, have you been? Like, I'm great. And just, I don't know. And they never, I'm waiting for something in the conversation to give me some sort of hint as to where I might know this person from or how I know this person. And of course, they just like, I don't know if they're purposely doing it to piss me off, but they don't give me any indication whatsoever.
But you can play off that, though. You can still have like a conversation with somebody in that way, in a sense where you're like not like addressing the fact that you don't know who they are, but be like, yeah. Fine. Good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many conversations I've had like that. And who knows if any of that will ever get back where I pretend to know what they're talking about and then it makes absolutely no sense in context. I don't know. Who cares? Yeah. Who really knows? But this weekend was a good indication or a good lesson for me because the last few weekends I haven't really done anything and have avoided human contact.
Yeah.
And, it's the old refrain that I go through all the time where I think that I want to be around people, but then when I am around people...
You get angry?
Well, not even angry, but just... Last night, our good friend Sean's band was playing, and we know a few people in the band. I was trying to get you to go, but you wouldn't go.
Nah, I didn't want to go.
And so, I don't know, it was like 9:30, I was sitting around, hadn't gone anywhere, done anything all weekend, because I used to live for the weekend because I hate my job.
You were like Huey Lewis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were exactly. You were him, basically.
Very timely reference. Yeah. And so I would work all day, all week, and just be like, oh God. And then when the weekend came around, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out. I'm going to divert myself and distract myself. But even that lately is just like, ugh, I don't even want to bother. And so last night, I had been sick all week. I think the cough that you had last week transferred to me somehow.
Suddenly happened right when we started recording.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was choking on something the entire time we were recording. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. The next day I was coughing. I was like, am I having some allergy attack or something? And then eventually it turned into this full-blown horrible cold.
Yeah, I got that too.
It's the only time in my life when I can actually recall the very moment when my symptoms of a cold started.
It is weird.
Yeah.
You would think it'd be more gradual and just kind of sneaks up on you.
Usually I get a cold, and then after a while I'm like, wait a second, I'm sick. And I'm already halfway through it, and I haven't even just been paying attention to what's been going on. But this cold was like so dramatic, and it took hold of me so quickly that, it was overwhelming.
So I didn't feel like going out, but I was like, okay, I was watching some shitty reality series on Netflix or something. I was like, okay, I better just buck up and get out there. So I took a shower, walked into town, and let me see if I can go through all the horrible things that happened at the show. I had there were a few people I knew. I figured I'd run into people I knew, so I'd have some social interaction, and I did. And I was supposed to sing at the show, but I had been sick, so I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And then I kept running into people, several different girls coming up to me and being like, oh, I haven't seen you in so long. And then, are you dating anybody? I'm like, no, I'm not dating anybody. It's like, I just don't understand why you don't have a girlfriend. You're so handsome, you're so smart, and you're funny, and blah, blah, blah. And one of the girls who was saying this to me, I had dated a couple times, and she had not wanted to continue dating me.
Yeah.
So if I'm so amazing and great, why didn't you want to date me?
Yeah.
Woman. Of course, I mean, I didn't say that, obviously, but that's, of course, what's going through my mind. This happened to me. They think they're being nice by saying this.
Yeah.
But to go up to someone and be, I just don't understand why you're single. It doesn't make any sense. You're so great.
Well, it's like, if you think that's true, why don't you date me?
Exactly.
Show me you think it's true.
I know. Have sex with me right now. Let's go into the bathroom.
And they're like, no.
Yeah.
I just think of...
Well, not for me.
In an abstract
course.
way. I think for others, it might be good for them to do this.
I'm fantastic. Speaking of the bathroom, here was the other great thing that happened. There's the venue in which I was watching the band has an upstairs unisex bathroom with a locking door, which I go to all the time because there's usually a line on the
Yes, I use that bathroom as well.
So I went up to this bathroom. The door was wide open. Light was on. I walk into the bathroom, turn to my right, and there is a girl sitting on the toilet with her pants down. And I went, oh! I was like, oh, sorry, the door was open. I start to leave, and she's like, wait.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, I'm gonna leave. She's
Yeah.
like, don't go.
What?
I'm going to leave now. If you leave, I'm gonna scream, and everyone will think you're raping me. If you scream and people come running, I will say that I wandered into the bathroom and you started screaming. You're drunk and crazy.
Yeah.
I'm normal and not drunk. I think they're going to believe me. She's like, wait. And while she's doing this, she stands up, full frontal nudity, wipes herself,
Wow.
which I don't think I've ever seen a woman wipe herself after urinating. There's something very, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's something
they do because that's why they go through all that toilet paper.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, I understand it's perfectly normal, perfectly natural.
I don't think I've ever seen a woman actually do it either.
Well, and even in relationships I've had, like long-term relationships, I don't think I've ever seen that. It's a very weird, intimate thing to see.
Yeah,
and
especially
I was
with a stranger at a bar.
Yeah, this is some weird drunk girl in a bathroom that I just accidentally wandered in on. And so I'm kind of like, trying to avoid looking at her, and I'm still like backing out. I'm leaving. She's like, wait. Do you think I'm pretty?
No.
And this is while she's pulling up her underwear and she's got her pants around her ankles. And yeah, she was...
Was she pretty?
She was pretty, but she was really drunk and just a mess. And so I said, yes, I think you're pretty. And she's like, then why did Jordan break up with me?
Oh, Jordan.
I'm like, I don't know, Jordan. I don't know. What? I mean, I don't care how drunk I am. I don't do shit like that. And all night long, I was confronted by these crazily drunk girls. One girl who I'd never seen before, who was kind of flirting with me earlier in the night, came up to me later, and she had a giant glass of water.
Yeah.
And just went ba-bam, and splashed the entire thing all down my pants.
Yeah.
Like, just a bucket full of water, and I could feel it just oozing down my pants, went into my shoes, just soaked. I couldn't have been more wet if I had like put my pants on and gotten into a shower. It was ridiculous. And then just, I don't know, people, there are all these weirdos with giant backpacks running around in the show. it was another thing that was really irritating me for some reason because I was just in the mood to be irritated. But why do you go to a show with a huge backpack on and it's packed in the bar and they're just bashing people with their giant backpacks running around? What the fuck do you have in this backpack that's so important that you need to take it with you at all times?
To a bar. Yeah.
To a bar.
That is odd.
It's really weird.
I would feel weird about bringing a backpack into a bar because I'd feel like someone would be like, sir, you can't have that backpack in
Why
here.
don't they say that? You go into a bookstore or something with a cup of coffee
true.
and they tell you to leave it at the desk.
Or a backpack. They
Or
tell
a
you,
backpack.
Yeah, you can't come in with a backpack.
I mean, I guess they're not going to start
can't-
stealing pint glasses and putting them in the backpack.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
they could. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I don't know. It was just driving me crazy. And then today did the whole brunch thing with my mom and stuff, which was fine. But then as I was walking back to my car, I was dressed as you see me now, Warren. I'm wearing just like a shirt and tie or whatever. Because it was Mother's Day. I got to be nice for the mom.
Mother's Day tradition, sure.
And I'm walking back, and there's two knuckleheads standing in front of a bar, and one of them's like, "Hey, I love your outfit," as I'm walking by.
Yeah.
And of course, the thought process is, these people are probably being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I could just ignore it and walk on, but then that's rude if they're not being sarcastic. So I just went, well, thank you. And then, of course, the guy's like, fucking idiot. Yeah, I love your style. And his little chucklehead friend is like, start laughing at me. So I go, ugh, and turn around.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would have just ignored it and just walked on. Or maybe you would have told him to fuck off. I don't even know.
I probably would have. I would have either walked away or I would have turned around in a menacing fashion that would have made them run away.
Well, I turned around and I said, okay, let's look at what you're wearing here, buddy. And basically just ripped apart his entire ensemble. He had gigantic, stupid pants with like embroidered flames on them. It's like, oh yeah, I love your sweatshirt. Ooh, look at that pit bull with the spiked collar. That's tough. You look tough. Oh, your hat. Do you iron the brim to get it that flat? You fucking idiot. And just very eloquently and very angrily belittled him for a good 2 or 3 minutes, and then he's like, fuck you, I'm gonna fucking kick your ass. I'm like, no, you're not. But I'll tell you what, next time I'm walking by, or next time any stranger's walking by, and you have the urge to comment sarcastically on their appearance, shut the fuck up, and then you won't have to hear what I think of you, you stupid piece of shit. And then walked on home, and it was very pleasant
Mother's Day,
experience.
huh?
Yeah, Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Good times.
So what's been going on with you, Warren? Anything exciting this week?
No, really. I've just been trying to get over this cold. It's been a little bit
Full-time
irritating.
job?
Well,
You don't take off work or anything for a
the
cold,
weird thing
right?
was that actually I did. I took a day off this week. I was
really?
sick.
Wow, that's
I actually kept going, and then on Thursday, I was like, must keep going to work, and I got up and I was walking to work and I was hacking and very sick and had like a throbbing headache, and I made it quite a ways, and I was like, what am I doing? At a certain point, I was like, why am I doing this?
Do you have the job environment where they prefer you to not come to work sick, or do they want you to come?
No, I have a job environment where it's like they prefer that you come there all the time.
Yeah,
and
see,
do
I
the
don't
job.
get that at all. If somebody is sick, I mean, it's one thing. I don't know where you draw the line exactly, but when you're in an enclosed space with a bunch of people and someone is just like, I don't want to be around that person. I don't want them coming in.
It's bad. You really shouldn't be doing that.
You shouldn't.
But the other thing is, the problem is, like, with my work and with lots of people's work, is that it's very time sensitive what we're doing.
Right.
And so it like has to be done that day. So somebody's going to have to do it. I know like lots of people have jobs, much higher paying jobs than mine, where, you know, you don't have to go in for weeks at a time. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm like an hour late, it like throws a lot of things off.
That's the weird thing. And that's, I hardly ever take days off either when I'm sick, because if I don't go, it won't get done. And there's no one else who can do the job. You know, it's like, and it's weird to think about the people who get paid the most are the ones who seem to be least necessary.
It is very strange that way. I always think about that. It's like if the CEO of Barclays or something didn't show up for like a year, the bank would still continue to function.
Yeah.
It would basically be fine.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, but if a guy that works at like Dairy Queen, the guy that's working the back that day, doesn't show up, the fucking Dairy Queen's fucked.
I know.
You can't get the burgers out. Everything's completely out of control. People are screaming in the parking lot and stuff. That guy makes $7 an hour.
Do people that get that hepped up about their peanut butter parfait?
If you go to a Dairy Queen and you're waiting in line and there's no food and it's like, what's going on with the Dairy Queen? They're like, we can't serve your burgers. The burger guy isn't here. It's like, what? You know?
I think my little stepsister just started working at a Dairy Queen recently.
Oh, really?
I'll have to go in and harass her.
Well, I worked at a Dairy Queen for a month in the past.
Yeah, I never worked fast food. I'm glad
it's not rewarding work.
No, I wouldn't think so.
It's very bad. But the weird, strange thing was when I had this coughing problem, when I came in and recorded last week, I had eaten some Twizzlers before I came over.
Okay.
And I have this weird thing with Twizzlers where they give me this horrible, like, acid reflux.
Why do you eat them then?
This is the question, right?
Yeah.
So I really like them, like strawberry Twizzlers. I like the texture of them. They're like waxy and good. And I eat them, and they give me this horrible acid reflux. And so I didn't eat Twizzlers for years. And then before I recorded the other day, I was watching some sports. I was like, I'm going to get some Twizzlers.
I pulled you back in.
The girlfriend was like, don't eat those Twizzlers. You know what happens. I'm like, I got to the point where it was like, I had convinced myself the Twizzler problem didn't exist. You know what I mean? Because it seems so ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous.
So I ate those Twizzlers, and I assumed what was happening to me last week was a Twizzler issue.
Right. But it was just coincidental.
It was coincidental.
Well, do you think you would have been coughing without the sickness with the Twizzlers, or do you think
the Twizzlers may have made it a little bit worse?
Okay.
I think it may have, because I finished off some of the Twizzlers last night.
And
I was like, I'll finish these Twizzlers. I woke up.
Keep going back to
I woke up with this horrible acid reflux. It woke me up like I was asleep, and I was like grabbing my chest, and I was like, why am I doing this?
I don't know.
But at the same time, it's like, why just Twizzlers?
I don't know.
It's very strange.
They are just a chemical. I mean, I don't think there's anything natural in those whatsoever.
It's that
the
weird
color, the flavor, the texture.
It's that consistency to them that like they're doing something to it that makes it like that.
Huh.
So I got to stay away from them.
Yeah. Don't eat the Twizzlers.
If anyone sees me trying to buy some Twizzlers somewhere, stop me.
It's one thing if it's like, I'm trying to think of a food that I love so much that I could never do without, and I don't think I can think of anything. But
it's not like it's my favorite thing in the world. No.
I mean, why would you keep going on to
the
Twizzlers?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's something I can't live without.
Yeah.
But it's also something I kind of enjoy. I like them.
I'm sure they're fine, but
yeah, I'm going to stop.
When you weigh the pros and the cons against each other.
Oh, the cons are.
Yeah.
I could get some red vines and eat them and not have any consequences.
That's weird because they're basically. I guess Twizzlers are even more waxy.
It's like shiny.
Yeah.
And that consistency is
like they've been lacquered with something.
Yeah, whatever they're doing to make it like that is something that my body just can't handle at all.
They do look like plastic.
They do. Yeah, they're like plastic and they're shiny and slippery.
So
I want some right now.
Adam Carolla's stealing our ideas again.
Oh, God damn it.
I listened to an episode recently where I think Rosie Perez was the guest, and they had an entire conversation about women hitting men and how if women were as large as men would be beaten constantly because women are so violent and aggressive and always smacking people all the time. It was basically beat for beat, the exact same conversation we had on our That's How Women Are.
Oh, no.
And we had recorded that well over a week before this episode aired.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if he listens or he's got his little peons. Just it's like Media Matters has to go through and listen to our podcast and pick up important points.
Media Matters is
well,
I'm
I'm not
podcast?
saying Media Matters, but they're listening to us like Media Matters. They're watching us very closely.
Yeah.
We're the trend makers. We're like the New York Times of podcasting, apparently. But nobody acknowledges.
We're completely on the cutting edge.
We are.
And we're so far on the cutting edge, no one knows about us. And the only people, of the very, very few people who are actually downloading the show, they're all trendsetters of the world.
Exactly.
Yeah. I could see that happening.
I think so.
Yeah.
I was asking you before the show, there was recently a fatal car accident in Bellingham.
Yeah.
And I was driving the other day, and it happened on the street Lakeway Drive, and I had noticed as I was driving, somebody had pulled up where the accident had occurred, and they were putting flowers on side a memorial. And as they were doing that, and their car was sort of half in a lane, half out a lane, somebody came around the corner and came within an inch of smacking into the back of their car, which, if it had hit their car would have been smashed into them. It would have taken them out and the roadside memorial out. Then would somebody else come and put another memorial there?
It's just nothing but memorials all the way up the street.
This is not a good idea.
No.
To stop traffic, to have a distraction on the side of the street that's dangerous anyway, because it's this weird blind corner that you go by. I know the accident. From what I know of the accident, somebody was going way too fast and just didn't take the corner right or something. But it just seems like a really bad idea.
No, when you're out in your car, you got to think about things like that, right? Which I know people don't. People just stop in the middle of the road or park their car in a weird way, not thinking about what sort of corner they're. Think about the other drivers and stuff. and especially if you're doing something to commemorate the victim of an accident, try to prevent an accident to honor that person's memory.
I think that's better. That honors their memory much better than actually causing more road deaths on a daily basis.
I know that this week in Boston, they started cleaning up the memorials for the people of the victims there. And I think they were putting in some sort of archives or something, and they're going to keep them for a long time. I don't know how long you're supposed to leave memorials up.
Yeah, it's kind of like Christmas cards or birthday cards.
Eventually, sometimes, if they get big enough, fire hazard.
Do you, if you get a birthday card or a Christmas card, how long do you keep that card?
I used to like throw them on my desk or something, and they'd sit there for a long time. Then I eventually throw them away. Now I just throw them away.
I throw them away too. And somebody called me on that a while ago because there was somebody in my apartment while I was opening a birthday card, and I went, "Oh, that's nice." And then I threw the card away, and they were just shocked and appalled by this. But come on.
I think the point of the card, right, is to like acknowledge something.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm acknowledging your birthday.
I'm thinking of you. Here's a nice little message for you on your birthday.
Yeah, and so it served that purpose. Yeah. I think it's fine to throw it away. That's what I feel like. I don't want to put it in a memory box. No. Especially because you get a bunch of cards, and it's like, they're just a lot of them are generic and just signed with somebody's name.
You don't know what year it was from. I don't know.
I know when I was a kid, I would get, like $5 from my aunt in the mail, my great aunt, for my birthday or something, and I'd have to sit down and write the thank you card.
Oh, right.
Laborious.
Yeah.
It was really hard to come up with anything to say.
I don't think my parents weren't polite, so they never forced us
they didn't make you do that?
to write. I think I would call my grandma or something.
Oh, really?
And thank them, but
yeah, I just sit down and like make a card and like, come up with something to write about, which was the same thing in school where you had to like write about your weekend, and I was like, I got nothing to say. So I'd be like, how are you, Aunt Clara?
Thank you.
I hope you are good. The weather is beautiful. Love, Warren, or something, and then it'd be like
in your childish scrawl. You always had horrible handwriting.
Oh, I still have terrible handwriting. I have such terrible handwriting that I have to just like print in a very deliberate way for it to be like recognized. So it's very good now, but it's very slow. It's a slow process.
If I take the time, it can be very nice and neat because I've done art and things like that. But my normal speed of writing is so fast and so small that even I have trouble reading it.
Oh, your micrographia? Micrographia.
Yeah, there is some. I don't think it's
Parkinson's.
Quite to that level.
It means you're going to have Parkinson's.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I already do. Let's do some Celebrity Minute, Warren.
Awesome.
Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Well, let's lead off Celebrity Minute this week with everyone's favorite, Justin Bieber. He was recently touring in Dubai.
Yes.
And apparently set off 6 speed cameras while driving a Lamborghini, a borrowed Lamborghini, I'm assuming, because apparently he's 2 years too young to actually rent a Lamborghini in the Emirate. Emirate? Is that what you said?
It's one of the Emirates.
Yeah, it's part of the United Arab Emirates. Emirates?
I think it's one of them.
Yeah. This is from the Daily Mail online. With his recent spate of controversies, from turning up hours late to his own concerts to spats with the paparazzi, it would seem Justin Bieber is determined to shed his squeaky clean image. And the latest claims that the Canadian singer... What? Oh, and the latest claims that the Canadian singer set off 6 speed cameras while driving a Lamborghini in Dubai will cement his reputation as a bad boy. We were just talking about the Aventador last week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like he... It looks kind of like a Spider-Man car or something. It's pretty good looking. I like it.
Yeah, it looks like a Lamborghini.
It's a nice car.
Yeah.
Apparently, he set off 6 speed cameras. There's pictures of him wearing giant aviator sunglasses, a little beanie, and a hood as though he's trying to disguise his appearance. You can still see his ridiculous baby face sticking out through there. Not much of a story, I guess, though, because the police say they want to question him, but I don't think anything's really going to come of it. And the story just goes on to just talk about some more of the shenanigans that he was going through. He was supposed to play in Oman, but they said his show was too racy. Apparently, he tried to get into a club, but they wouldn't serve him alcohol, so he stormed out in disgust, and then later jumped on top of a Range Rover and started striking Spider-Man poses before jumping off. It's more Bieber stuff.
Typical Bieber.
I don't know. I want a change a little bit because it's just... they're shenanigans that aren't quite shocking enough to be a real story in a way. You know what I mean? It's like he's had his little chases with the paparazzi, driving at high speeds. He's had his scissor. He's said stupid things about the Holocaust, but he still hasn't done anything really crazy, which kind of makes me think everyone keeps talking about his team trying to get him to tone it down a little bit, but maybe all this is part of it. Because he keeps getting talked about in the press all the time. And It's nothing that bad, really.
No.
I don't know. I don't know what to think. Next story. Oh. Liam Hemsworth's brother Luke and Chris Hemsworth stage intervention to end Miley Cyrus engagement. Liam, the younger brother of Chris Hemsworth, who is Thor and, in the Avengers movies, he's been in all sorts of things. Okay. Liam has. I have this giving me a weird look.
Well, I have this problem where
they all look the same.
They all look the same. I don't know which one is which.
Well, especially the Hemsworth brothers.
And I thought I had narrowed it down, but now I'm not so sure.
Chris Hemsworth is Thor. And he was in Cabin in the Woods. He's been in a bunch of stuff. Liam Hemsworth was in Hunger Games.
And he was in Magic Mike.
Yeah, maybe. No, that was Channing Tatum.
Okay, God damn it.
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's Channing Tatum and two Hemsworths, and they're completely messed up in my mind.
They're all the same person. This is from Us Magazine. Oh, brother. Liam Hemsworth's actor siblings Chris and Luke were so fired up about the relationship between their little brother and fiancée Miley Cyrus, they staged an intervention with him in April. They want him to end the romance for good, a source tells Us Weekly, and apparently their words have made an impact. The couple of nearly 4 years who got engaged last June recently stopped making wedding plans and have been spending plenty of time apart. And it just goes on to talk about her partying and Liam nowhere in sight. And Cyrus is explaining in a recent interview with V Magazine that they don't do much together because they don't have much time, but she claims that they're still going ahead with the engagement.
Seems like a good brother move.
Yeah, if I were engaged to Miley Cyrus, would you stage an intervention to get me to stop marrying her?
No, I don't think you have anything to lose, really. So if you got married, you marry Miley Cyrus, and you probably get some money afterwards. So I'd be like, that's fine.
If I married her in California and we got divorced and she was the major breadwinner, which she obviously would
probably.
I would automatically get 50% of all her shit, even though we'd only been married for like a few months, as long as we had consummated the marriage.
Wow.
Oh, baby.
We got to make this happen.
We had that story about the Banksy graffiti that had been missing from a North London neighborhood and was up for auction. Then it got pulled because of the controversy. The people in the neighborhood wanted it back. Then it disappeared for a while, and now it's back again on a website for sale again. So I don't know what's going on. It's just an update.
It's sad.
Apparently Rihanna and Chris Brown have broken up again.
Oh, well.
I don't know.
So it's just the same stories over and over again.
She was recently partying with Katy Perry. I guess they're BFFs. And Chris Brown was nowhere in sight. Chris Brown has been partying by his lonesome and apparently dancing like a maniac to a Rihanna song that was playing in a club, I guess. But he's recently caused ire with some of his neighbors in L.A. because of this ridiculous mural he's painted on a retaining wall. I'm showing Warren a picture now. I don't think he actually painted the mural. We'll put this on warrenandbradley.com. It's like weird psycho Muppet blob faces with big teeth and bloodshot eyes.
Little comic book monster faces.
It looks really stupid. Apparently he's been cited by the city saying that he had excessive signage on his property and he's going to have to paint over it. He's a fucking child. What else have we got here? I was a little disappointed by some of the celebrity news this week. Amanda Bynes finally sentenced to 3 years probation for her driving without a license infraction. I don't know which infraction that was, but one of them. Maybe that's why she moved to New York, so she wouldn't be able to drive anymore. I don't think most people drive at all in New York.
No. I was just discussing this actually with my family when we were having our little Mother's Day gathering. The fact that it seems like there's constantly drunk driving deaths around us.
Yeah.
People getting drunk driving tickets. And it's, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because these people drink and then they drive. These are the two things they do, right?
Yeah.
And they do both of them. And then those two things together are a recipe for death. So, I mean, you can drink in New York and then you can easily get back to your place without driving. And you can just wander in the street and get hit, and that's fine. That's not a big deal because you're not hurting anyone else.
Well, I live close to downtown and I haven't driven a car to go out, and I don't know how long. And I'm so used to that if someone's like, hey, come to this party that's like 4 miles away or something, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that.
It seems stressful.
It does.
So you have to think about it, and you're like, what am I going to, I'm going to like drink and then drive, and it's like,
Cabs
are annoying.
Pointless. Oh, there's been a lot of shakeup in the American Idol world. I didn't even realize that show was still relevant in any way.
I don't know what's going on with American Idol.
Apparently, Randy Jackson has confirmed that he is leaving. He's been the only judge that's been with the show for the last 12 seasons.
12 seasons?
He's out of there. Yeah, 12 seasons. And I still have never seen one fucking
Still seems like a new show to me.
But apparently, all the rest of the judges are going to be kicked off as well. What was his name? Keith Urban?
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey are all going to be out next
Keith
season as well.
Urban is married to somebody famous, right?
Wasn't he married to
Nicole Kidman?
Oh, yeah. I think it's Nicole Kidman. Yeah.
He's married to Nicole Kidman, right?
Yeah, so they're all out. Apparently, American Idol does not get the ratings it used to.
Simon got it out of there just in time.
Simon jumped ship. I think The Voice... The Voice?
Yeah, The Voice.
Wait, I have no idea about any of these reality shows.
Well,
I guess
some of us got together and watched
over.
The Voice last season and stuff. And
that's the one that has CeeLo as one of the judges, right?
CeeLo, I don't know if he's on the show either. They replaced a couple of the judges in that show, too. Okay. A couple of the judges left.
Yeah, I don't care. This is a weird story. From the Associated Press, metal singer charged with soliciting wife's murder.
Uh-oh.
The lead singer of heavy metal band As I Lay Dying has been charged with plotting to kill his estranged wife. San Diego County District Attorney spokeswoman Tanya Sierra said a single felony count of solicitation of murder was filed against Tim Lambesis late Wednesday. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. Lambesis is scheduled to be arraigned Thursday afternoon. Police say Lambesis tried to hire a hitman, but the would-be killer was actually an undercover detective in a sting operation set up after law enforcement received a tip about the plot. I never get this because you always hear about somebody who tries to hire a hitman, and every fucking time it's an undercover cop. How does that work? Because they got a tip that he wanted to hire a hitman. So then do they knock on his door? Hey, I'm a hitman. Do they call him like Hitman R Us?
Well, how do you even start the process looking for a hitman?
I don't know.
Do you know I know some underworld people. I'm going to talk to them.
If I wanted to kill you, for instance, to get the insurance
control
money
of their podcast, you want all the podcast money for yourself.
This partnership is not working anymore, and I want to kill you. I have no idea how I would go about it. I would I would probably just try to find a drifter and give him like $40 or something. He's like, he walks this way to work every single morning. If you just wait here with a club of some sort and bludgeon him.
I would just probably kill the person myself.
Yeah, see, you want the plausible deniability, though.
How plausible is deniability if you're paying someone to do it, though? Well, there's an actual witness that can be like that.
That's why you hire a crazy drifter, though. Because then the drifter's like,
but he's crazy. He's not going to do anything.
Well, he might kill you,
and he might not kill the person you're hiring him to do.
Yeah, but then you're only out $40 and a bottle of Jack Daniels. He's
going to tell the police later about it.
Maybe, but who are they going to believe? The crazy drifter or me, who has?
Well, the crazy drifter attacked some random person that you may have wanted dead. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But I still don't get how these cops worm their way into all these assassination plots all the time. Do they just have a website that people keep logging onto?
Informants, right?
Yeah, but
so an informant hears about the singer of this B metal band I've never heard of.
Dying.
And they're like, oh yeah, he wants to kill his wife.
But how? I don't get where you go from, we've been informed that he wants to kill his wife, to now he's trying to hire us to kill his wife. How do they advertise? I don't understand how
he talks. He knows somebody in the underworld.
Okay,
that person is telling the cops everything,
right? And so then that person hooks them up with one of the cops,
and the cops are like, oh, we need, because this guy just told the underworld source that he wanted him to find someone to hire to kill his wife, so maybe that's not much of a crime.
Yeah.
So they need him to actually go through the acts, or they have an undercover cop go in there and actually finish the deal, then they arrest him.
So if you are thinking out loud and say that you want to kill your wife, and someone says, I know just the person, don't ever go through with that. Don't ever go with a hitman that someone else suggests who seems very curious about the wife killing.
Hiring hitmans, there are so many ways you can poison people and make it look like an accident and stuff. You know what I mean?
I've thought about murdering people a bunch of times, and there's so many ways that you could get away with it.
Well, that's the other thing too, right? If you make it some way that sort of looks like an accident, or you do it in some way that no one sees what happens, there's no witnesses and there's no physical evidence you did it.
The only real foolproof way to get away with murder is to have absolutely no motive whatsoever. But then why would you kill somebody if you had no motive to kill them? So you would just have to pick some random person who didn't know you at all.
But even if you do have a motive, and something happens in some way that this person like falls down the stairs, or this person dies of mysterious poisoning in some way, they still have to prove it. A jury has to be convinced.
True.
And you can get, I mean, I would roll the dice that way. I'd rather roll my dice with the jury than like hiring a hitman and being like, take care of business.
Yeah, you don't
know.
want anyone else involved, basically.
No, the last thing you want is any evidence or anyone involved or you telling anyone what you're going to do.
Yeah.
This is some advice for you killers out
I know,
there.
come on. Gotta buck your game up there,
Killer
people.
cast.
All right, I think that's enough time for Celebrity Minute on this week's Warren and Bradley show. I think let's do a little Netflix pick, shall we?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
This has been Celebrity Minute on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Sitting at home, bored, alone. You have Netflix streaming, but you don't know what to watch. Well, now you do with Netflix Picks on the Warren and Bradley Show.
Netflix Picks. It's been a couple weeks since we've had a Netflix Picks. I've got a couple, one movie and one series for y'all. I don't know if anyone actually listens to my advice and watches the things on Netflix. I've
the only feedback I get is people being like, tell them to do this thing.
Yeah. That's not the point. I'm supposed to tell you what to watch.
I know that's your personality. I realize that.
Yeah, I know. I'm still annoyed because everyone I told to watch Headhunters has not watched Headhunters, and it's so good. It's such a good movie. But anyway, the first movie we have on this week's Netflix Picks is from 1981, Quest for Fire, or La Guerre des Feux. This is a crazy, ridiculous caveman movie that I think I first saw when I was, 5 or 6. It was old by that point, but it's based on a Belgian novel, and I guess at the time it's marketed as a science fantasy film. And the basic plot outline, well, let me read the Netflix plot outline. A tribe of Cro-Magnons is attacked and loses its precious fire, a blaze that is always kept burning. To ensure the band's survival, Noah goes in search of more fire, accompanied by Amakur and Ga. Along the way, they meet Ika, a young woman who's rescued from slavery because she actually knows how to make fire. Directed by Jean-Jacques Annaud. Actually, this little summary is wrong. They're not supposed to be Cro-Magnons. They're supposed to be Neanderthals. And this is the ridiculous thing about this movie. It's a group of Neanderthals, Ron Perlman being one of them, which I find hilarious.
It's typecasting.
Who had to have no makeup.
Who is a Neanderthal, actually?
Can you imagine the whole casting process for that? It's like, we need someone who looks like a caveman. And then Ron Perlman walks in like, oh, Jesus, you did the makeup.
I know. Why would you make him up already? We want to see what he looks like without the makeup. And they're like, he's just off the street. This guy's walked in.
It reminds me, this is getting off topic, but I was hearing Steve Buscemi interviewed once about when he was reading the script for Fargo, and the Coen brothers had given him the script. They had written the piece with him in mind.
Yeah.
And when he was reading the character description, they were like, a freaky, weird-looking guy. And he's like, oh, maybe I'll get to wear some makeup and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, Steve. You're a weird, goggle-eyed freak, and that's why we want you in this movie. But anyway, Ron Perlman looks like a Neanderthal, so he was cast in this film. The film is hilarious. It is done in a kind of a melodramatic, sweeping, there's lots of pan flutes on the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically the story of this Neanderthal group. It's supposed to take place 80,000 years ago. They live in Europe somewhere, which they have fire, but they don't know how to make fire. So they have a little horn that they keep the fire in, and they accidentally douse the fire.
Oops.
And so 3 members of the tribe are sent out.
Their drink on the fire.
It's like, oh, damn it. And they're all like, they're acting like the prototypical cavemen.
Yeah.
Like very stereotypical cavemen. And so they're sent out on this epic journey to find fire, and they come across a group of Homo erectus, which are just basically apish people who slaughter other early humans and eat them. And there is a modern human who had been captured by the Homo erectus who is Ray Don Chong, who's kind of an attractive naked person. She's naked the entire movie, which is why I was interested in this film as a child. And there's just this epic weird journey as they're wandering along. At some point, they encounter her group of modern humans, and it's all kind of fiddly because I don't think Homo erectus was ever around at the same time that Neanderthalis and Homo sapiens were around.
They weren't all just like bumping into each other in the same
it wasn't
field.
like all these weird human species. It is true.
Well, I think they kind of had to be isolated because they're kind of like reproducing with each other to create each other.
Well,
right?
and erectus... Well, I don't know how far we want to get into this, but it was Homo I can't say that word, Heidelbergus, who was supposedly the ancestor of Neanderthalis. Erectus was way down the line. But anyway, it is true that Neanderthals and anatomically modern humans were around at the same time, but that was like 30,000 years ago, not 80,000 years ago. And all evidence suggests that Neanderthals have been able to make fire for like 400,000 years or something. So
take that, producers of Quest for Fire, who are probably all dead by now.
There's some oddly accurate things in this where they portray all the Neanderthals as white, which they do think that Neanderthals had light skin, and some of them have red hair, which they do think that some Neanderthals had red hair. All you Celtic,
for now,
Irish people, and then the early humans they portray as sort of indiscriminate race, and that's also true. They don't think light skin developed until like 20,000 years ago in Europe. I don't know. It's an amusing movie. It's one of those movies that's often unintentionally funny. I wouldn't call it a good movie, but it's entertaining. There's a lot of like the handsome Neanderthal, Noah, ends up humping the modern woman all the time, and she's always trying to get him to do it missionary style, but he always wants to do it doggy style every time because that's how cavemen have sex, apparently. I don't know. It's amusing. It's worth watching, and it's streaming on Netflix right now. Warren looks bemused right now.
Wait, the human is having sex with the Neanderthal that way?
Yeah.
And he wants to do it doggy style, and she wants to do it missionary?
Yeah. Well, because they're in the camp, and he goes, ugh, and just grabs her and starts, pounding away at her.
Because she's more human, though. She wants to look him in the eyes or something?
Because that's a modern, modern thing. I don't know. It's funny. You should watch it. It's streaming on Netflix right now. The next Netflix pick, Spaced.
Oh, yeah, I've watched this.
You like Spaced. Spaced is a sitcom, I guess you would call it, a very surreal sitcom made by, I don't know if any of you listeners have enjoyed Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz.
Have any of you enjoyed that? Well, you might enjoy this.
No, they're great. Edgar Wright, the director of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, and Simon Pegg, his co-writer on both of those films. This was their first project together. Edgar Wright was the director. Simon Pegg co-wrote with what's her name? Jessica Stevenson, who is also his co-star in Space. It's a very surreal, kind of geek culture-centered sitcom. The Netflix description reads thusly: in the surreal sitcom, slacker artist Tim Beasley and brooding writer Daisy Steiner meet in a cafe and decide to pose as a young professional couple so they can move into an affordable flat where they do everything possible to avoid adulthood. It's basically weird little group of friends develop, crazy, zany adventures take place. Nick Frost, who is also in all those Simon Pegg, Edgar Wright movies, is Simon Pegg's best friend. It's, if you do enjoy those films, and actually The World's End is coming out soon. It's the latest film that Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg are doing together, the third movie in the Cornetto trilogy, as they call it. You can sort of see where the humor started to develop. The series itself is kind of shot cinematically. It's a single camera. And like I said, just a lot of weird, surreal things, breaking the fourth wall. When you first start watching it, you're kind of, but then it grows on you quite a bit. You enjoyed it, right? You've seen it?
Yeah, that was pretty good. But it does bring me to my Netflix pick.
Oh.
Which is the IT Crowd.
Somebody was trying to get me to watch that, and I watched the first episode and wasn't thrilled.
I like that show more than I like Spaced.
Really?
Definitely. It's funnier.
The IT Crowd is another British sitcom. Let me read the Netflix summary here. Can't edit that out. In the age-old clash of IT versus the corporation, a pair of basement-dwelling dweebs squares off against their cloddish owner-come-lately with their ambitious but tech-illiterate manager running interference. So, Warren, have you watched the entire series? It says there's 4 series.
I watched quite a bit of it.
So what would you say to recommend this series to our
I would say it's very funny. The characters are very funny.
There you go.
It also, in the same way that Spaced is a little unconventional.
Yeah.
It's not something you're not going to see on American television, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's this show too. It's strange that this show is just like a show that's on TV. It's unimaginable here that you turn on CBS and see this such a weird show on. But yeah, it's very enjoyable, very light, and very absurd.
All right, well, maybe I'll try to give it a second try. The first episode didn't grab me for some reason.
Well, I had a problem with it because I'm not used to watching things with laugh tracks.
Was there a laugh track? I didn't even notice.
There's like a heavy laugh track in the show.
That drives me crazy.
Well, that's the thing. The first time I watched it, I was like, I can't listen to this laugh track. But of course, when you watch the show a couple times and you forget the laugh track, so you don't notice it anymore. It's definitely worth it.
Well, for honorable mention, if we're going off on a weird British sitcom tangent, they also have Black Books on
I saw that. That's
Netflix.
on there too. I watched a couple episodes of that.
That's
I never got
amusing.
into that one.
It's another thing that it's kind of hard to get into it, but once you get involved with the characters and the weird, it's a very surreal, strange comedy.
I think the IT Crowd guy, didn't he make Black Books too?
I think so, yeah.
And I think he made like Father Ted, which is another show. Yeah.
Well, Black Book stars Dylan Moran, who's an Irish comedian who's actually quite funny if you look up some of his stand-up videos on YouTube, as just a completely misanthropic, crazy bookstore owner who hates all his customers and never wants anyone to come in. Mm-hmm. He's horribly abusive to his employee, who's played by Bill Bailey, who's another British comedian. He has a crazy, like, zany friend / ex-girlfriend who owns a business nearby, and they're just all reprehensible people and do horrible things all the time, and it's fairly amusing. He's drunk constantly and just smoking and drinking wine and hates everybody.
It's good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Another thing that would never be on American television.
Well, the strange thing about it too, it's like they wouldn't ever be on American television. It's like they're not expensive productions.
No, and
by any means.
That's the weird thing with the BBC too, and they'll have these series where maybe they only do 1 or 2 series for the show, and then they just end. And they may have maybe 6 or 7 episodes a series, and it's not like they're going to these crazy locations or anything. It's just Black Books takes place in a bookstore. The IT Crowd, from what I could tell, takes place in the basement of a corporation.
And then there's like shots in this one other office sometimes too.
And Spaced is in an apartment.
Yeah.
In a flat.
Yeah.
And there's not much production value or anything, but it works. It's fun.
Good. It's good writing, and it's very enjoyable.
So check it out. We've got A Quest for Fire, which is more for the comedic than the actual dramatic effect. We have Spaced, a great early series from the creators of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. We have the IT Crowd, which Warren recommends. I didn't like the first episode, but maybe it's good. And then we have Black Books, starring Dylan Moran, a misogynistic, a misanthropic comedy about how much people suck.
Enjoy, people.
Thank you.
This has been Netflix Picks on the Warren and Bradley Show.
All right, this might be horribly dry and boring. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Well, yeah, okay.
let me start out by asking you this question, Warren.
All right, ask me.
Do you ever use the word obfuscate? Have you ever
Yes.
used that in a sentence? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that is a particularly obscure word, really.
No.
But the other day, I was having a conversation with someone, and I was trying to explain a certain theory to them about something. I won't get into it. It's I don't know, pointless to bother. But as I was describing it, the person was having trouble understanding what I was talking about, and I was trying to explain it to them. And then at one point I said they were getting frustrated and accusing me of trying to make them seem stupid.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not trying to obfuscate here. I'm trying to explain to you what's going on. They asked me what the word obfuscate meant, and I gave them the meaning. It means to intentionally obscure the meaning of something. And they said, the fact that you use the word obfuscate means that you are trying to obfuscate. And I had to step back a minute and think, and I was like, yeah, I guess. But in my mind, it's something that we sort of talked about the other day, where having to try to to pitch your vocabulary to who you're talking to. And I like to speak to people as though those people are educated and will understand what I'm saying. I don't want to intentionally have to dumb down. I don't want to limit my vocabulary. I don't want to have to
Well, that gets back to the point. What's the point of communication?
Exactly. And this is what occurred to me when I said this to this person, or when this person said this to me. It's like, okay, yes, if the purpose of communication is to communicate,
yes,
to get ideas back and forth between two people, then really me using words that I guess would be considered... But see, I don't think obfuscate is one of those words. But if it is not commonly known what the meaning of that word is, then me using that word, even though I think that is a good thing to have a broad vocabulary, because the English language has so many fucking words.
Yeah.
And it's not really communicating, though. I'm not communicating. If people can't understand what I'm saying, I'm not communicating with them.
I think it's very good you came to that conclusion.
Yeah, but...
usually the Brad I would expect to be like angry, and you'd be like, why does this person know this word? There's something wrong with this person.
No, see,
why won't people know this word?
You know what? I'm not like that. If somebody in good faith, if I say something and they ask me, what does that mean? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because they want to know what that means, and I will explain the meaning. And it's not like I'm some Harvard professor or something. You know, I don't think of myself...
Far from it.
No. I don't think of myself as having some crazy vocabulary, this person I was speaking to is by no means stupid, but it just occurred to me, like, are we losing... I mean, if you go back and read...
No, I don't think we are. I don't think that people knew that word before.
I think, go back and read, like, 19th century literature or early 20th century literature.
Like, everyone was reading 19th century literature.
No, well, you are right.
An educated class was reading it, but I mean, if you're just talking to people in general, they weren't reading all these things.
That's an
and
interesting
people's vocabulary is a little bit more limited if they don't read texts that
That's
have
an
like,
interesting
a lot of
point
words
you
in
make,
them.
because the only record we have of historical times is the literature, and the people creating that literature were the most educated, and usually the aristocracy, the higher classes, people who would have a very large vocabulary. And I guess when you read that and you think, okay, well, this was popular literature at the time, like reading, I don't know, Thomas Hardy or something like that. But no, that was... It was educated people who read that, educated people who consumed that, and they would understand what was going on. But it seems like now our culture is so... It's not as stratified as it used to be, maybe. I don't know. It's just... What do you think we should do? Do you think we should just not ever try to use words that might not be in common parlance? Because I think maybe if you expose people to those words... No,
I think that if you can communicate something, you don't need to use a word someone might not understand, then you don't use that word.
But I like language. I
like
words.
language too, but I also like language to be concise and lucid. And I think it becomes clunky and pretentious if words are put in that are unnecessary.
Well, there's so many words, there's so many shades of meaning. And you might have a word like angry.
Yeah.
That means I'm angry. But there are so many other words in the English language that could tell you exactly the kind of angry you are. You know what I mean? Like, and I think a lot of those get lost in common conversation or in
well, I don't even know
if
they exist in common conversation or they ever did.
Yeah. I don't know. I find it kind of sad, but at the same time, I was taken aback a little bit, and it did make me think about that. And
well, it's weird because I'm like anal retentive about like knowing what a word means when I'm reading something. And so if I don't know what the word means, I always look it up.
Yeah.
And that's like strange because most people don't do that.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something.
And also, you can often get like the sense of the text. You can understand the text without knowing the precise definition of the word you're reading.
Right.
But still, I'll like look it up.
Well, I don't like to use a word unless I could recite for somebody a very concise definition of what that word means. Because there's a lot of words that you get the general gist, but you don't necessarily have the like Oxford English Dictionary definition of what the word means. And I like to actually know that. I was reading, I think it was Master and Commander a while ago, and there's a word there which now I cannot remember, and it's going to drive me crazy. But it doesn't often happen where I come across a word that I don't know, but when I do, and I go, oh, what's this? I look it up, and I'm quite pleased. It's like, oh, I've added this to my arsenal now. Of course, now I can't remember it, so I didn't actually add it to my arsenal. My arsenal to
What are you
rip
writing?
street
It's so
people
important.
apart. No, it's when idiots on the street belittle my appearance, I can...
You can use words they don't understand
Yeah,
or insult them.
makes
They
them
can
feel
just be like,
stupid.
what do you mean?
It still makes them feel stupid. If they don't know what you're saying...
But the thing is, you make them feel stupid by using words that didn't make sense that they didn't understand.
No, that's true.
When I am talking to someone, I try to keep it as simple as possible to communicate the ideas.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people
Or stupid.
I'm not going to go stupid, but a lot of people don't
not
read a
well-read.
lot,
Yeah.
or they aren't interested in like the language that much, and they don't know very much about what words mean. But you can still communicate with them. So I always keep that in mind when I'm talking to them.
When I write, my voice is changing. I am probably way more pedantic and crazy, and I don't even think about it, but grammar and punctuation and using proper tenses, using proper forms. I reading back what I've written to people, even if I'm just like emailing or something and having a conversation online, it probably sounds like some kind of crazy, stuffy 19th century weirdo.
Yeah.
But I enjoy that. I enjoy constructing sentences and
Well,
things
it
like
gives you a
that.
feeling of superiority over the others.
No, I don't think so. I just it gives me pleasure to read
Well,
back.
I prefer to write in a way that's like proper in that way too.
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's good writing to use a word that.
To be intentionally obscure,
Yes.
just to show off. I agree with that.
But
as well.
I think that's a problem that a lot of people come to with writing, and I think this develops when people are in school at an early age and you're given a text you don't understand, and this text is praised by the teacher, and like, this is a great text, and you're like, well, I understand this thing, and it has a bunch of words in it.
Yeah. So in order to write something great, nobody
that's
can
good
understand
writing,
what
right?
I'm saying. Yeah.
And so you get farther in school, and lots of people are just turning in things. They're using big words as much as possible, and they're not being as clear. And they're like, look at this profound thing I wrote here.
Well, and I can definitely, I mean, I've read, people's college papers or something, things like that. Like, look, read this over for me and tell me what, and I'm like, okay, you are really trying to show off here and you're not actually saying anything. And I definitely agree that that is a bad idea. But if you look at an author like Cormac McCarthy or something, he does not show off with language.
Well, some people feel he does, but at the same time,
Well-
it does serve a function. But it's like, that's the other thing about that, right? Let me tell everyone out there who's writing a paper for their freshman year English class, you're not Cormac McCarthy.
Yeah.
You're not William Faulkner. Even if you name your metal band As I Lay Dying, trust me, you're not. And you should be, it's the whole thing about, like, you should know the rules before you're going to break the rules.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
you should be able to write something very clear and very concise. You should be able to communicate your ideas in a way that can be understood by the most people in the briefest amount of time. And if you become such a great writer that you can take the artistic license and make things somewhat obscure in some way that's somehow serving what you're writing in a literary sense, that's fine if you get to that place. If you become Thomas Pynchon, God bless you. But you're not. You're not even close.
I think this whole segment is going over our listeners' head, probably. But
I mean, that's what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, and it's the same thing with art. You look at, I don't know, someone like Picasso or something when they're using Cubism. He was classically trained
Yes.
as an artist, he took that background and he broke those rules and did something completely different. It's a lot of people I knew when I was taking art classes in college who could not draw anything, and they just go "Hey," and splash shit all over the canvas and be like, oh, it's abstract, this is why it's so great. I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. And anybody could just splash shit around on a canvas.
But that's the weird part about when I was actually reading a book this week, which I had read before, by Tom Wolfe, called The Painted Word, about abstract expressionism and pop art. Yeah, I know. Fancy pants man that I am. I was reading this book, but it was about that process that people started one-upping themselves with this weird way of making things more abstract, and it was more about like the concept behind the art than the art itself. Yeah. And the problem with doing that is you end up in a place where I don't want to sound like a Neanderthal, but Jackson Pollock is just dripping a bunch of shit over a canvas, and people are like, oh, fuck me, this is great. And it's like, I'll tell you what, not that amazing.
Well, and it gets in this whole thing where nobody wants to feel like it's the Emperor's New Clothes, and everyone wants to feel like they're part of this thing, and they don't want to display their ignorance. Like, I don't get it, but I don't want people to know I don't get it. But then everyone is thinking that, and so everyone starts lauding this shit.
But the people, there are people in the back who are the people that are pretentious, and they're like, I understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
And if you're like, wow, that looks like a block of orange with a block of red next to it, what's the big deal? And they're like, oh, you're so simple.
Oh my God. Your tastes are so unrefined. Yeah, that's irritating. I always wonder when we do a segment like this, which I think is interesting. I think it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else does.
This is fine.
I think it's fine. I like it. And because sometimes I have the weird drive where I think everything has to be slightly humorous on the show, or else people don't want to pay any attention.
Slightly humorous is the greatest tagline for our show.
The Warren and Bradley Show. Slightly humorous. But when I'm listening to a podcast, I enjoy discussions like this. I think it's interesting.
Yes.
And hopefully our listeners agree. Because I like to bring, something a little more philosophical every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Oh, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another good tagline. The Warren and Bradley Show.
Fine.
I think it's fine.
By the people who are on the show say they think it's fine. The show's fine. It's fine. Trust me. I make the show.
I do need to make a new logo at some point, so I think it'll be the Warren and Bradley Show, like a banner headline, and then in quotes, I think it's fine, Warren Van.
Yeah.
And slightly humorous, Bradley Victor.
Occasionally slightly humorous.
Occasionally slightly
Sometimes
humorous.
we get kind of like serious on the show.
All right. I think that's enough time for this week's Warren and Bradley Show. I've been one of your hosts, Bradley Victor.
I'm the other host, Warren Van.
Saying...
keep it crisp and clear. Don't overwrite.
All right.
This has been the Warren and Bradley Show, brought to you by Warren Van and Bradley Victor. For podcast news and information, like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/Warren and Bradley. Follow the show on Twitter at Warren and Brad. Subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. For episode archives and episode pictures, go to warrenandbradley.com, and to contact the show, write to podcast@warrenandbradley.com.